What is going on, y'all? Tech Me Out here. Apple has recently announced a new iPad Air and an iPad Pro. Both the new iPads look good, but the Pro, that's the fave. Now the question is to buy or not to buy. Let's talk. Now, aside from the fact that both of them have the same battery life as before, and they both still charge via USB-C, these are all the things that are new. Both models come in two sizes now, an 11-inch and a 13-inch. Both the iPad Air and the iPad Pro also have new camera placement because the front-facing camera is no longer on the top of the iPad, but it's now instead going to be located along the side of the iPad. Even though both models will have this camera placement, Face ID will only work on the iPad Pro. I wonder why that is. I don't know, I guess it's one of those things they're trying to still give the Pro to have its edge over the other iPads. But another thing the camera will have is center stage. So that way when you're having FaceTime calls, the camera is going to keep you nice and centered, and the Air also gets a new M2 chip. Both models are offered in the same colors as before, but the difference is the iPad Air now comes in a new shade of blue, and it's no longer going to be offered in pink, which I'm not mad at, but like low-key, I would have loved to have seen, you know, like a new color for the Pros. Like, I don't know, maybe bring back the gold era, you know, like when gold was a thing, like everybody was trying to have gold. Sometimes it seems like when you go to the Pro options, the colors seem to lose some of the pop, you know, it seems to be more neutral toned. Now, another thing that both the iPads can do is work with the new Apple Pencil. And from what I'm seeing, it's looking really good and it's offering some new features. But the thing though that is different here, y'all, is the iPad Air is heavier than the iPad Pro. What? Like, is the Air an Air anymore? Now, on top of being lighter than the iPad Air, the iPad Pro is also thinner than the iPad Air. How did we get here? I'm not mad. But how? It's like the definition of what we know the Air to be is getting redefined. It's no longer the thinnest, lightest iPad. It's instead fill in the blank. You know, I'm still figuring that out. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But the iPad Pro, like we were talking about, it is their thinnest device ever. Not just iPad, I think device, period. It's even thinner than the iPod Nano. All right, so let's talk about what's only on the iPad Pro. What makes it so exclusive? One special thing it has is a new Magic Keyboard that only works with the new Pros. And I'm gonna go more into those later, but another new thing with the Pro is that it also has an M4 chip, which is the first of its kind, like the first M4 chip in an Apple device. It just has me curious what's ahead. But either way, it is much faster than before. It's gonna be even better for graphic intensive tasks like those who are doing 3D graphics, video editing like myself, and also for gaming. On top of those things, it also has new mics, new speakers, and a new OLED display. I'm excited to see in person because just seeing it online in the keynotes and things like that is just like, it's gonna be some eye candy. And another thing that's new with the display is the option with the 1TB model to pay, I think it's like $100 extra to get the nano textured display, which from the little bit I've seen of it, I'm already like, I want that because it kind of gives you like paper-like vibes. And maybe that's a stretch because again, I haven't seen it in person. Better yet, I'll just say it's more like a matte finish. It's noticeable that there's a reduction in the glare. Another thing the Pro will be able to do is connect to an external hard drive. Now, I will be able to edit my Final Cut projects from my computer on my iPad, because that is currently not a thing. Which honestly, I haven't really played with Final Cut that much because of that reason. So to have that option now, it does make it even more enticing. And while we're talking about video editing, I gotta breeze over Final Cut Pro because I am a proud, happy Final Cut Pro user. So now with Final Cut, you'll have a new tool within there that will allow you to fire up a multicam view, which will then connect to all of your different Apple devices like your phone, your iPad, which you can have set up, you know, giving you different angles, a tight shot, a wide shot, a close shot. All of these angles would then be synced over to your computer so that in the moment, you can actually slice through and choose which one that you want. You basically get a live multicam view that's actively recording. This right here, y'all, I'm excited about. In theory, it seems like it could definitely improve my workflow by allowing me to kind of simplify in ways the setup, but I don't know. Real world tests, we will see. The one thing you will be able to do within Final Cut is have more refined controls with the use of the new Apple Pencil Pro. So the design may look the same, but it's the internals where it changed. And it seems to be low-key living up to its Pro name. So it now has a new squeeze feature that'll pull up like this toolbar of different writing options that you can choose from. And I wanna say it's customizable too. You can also hover and get a preview of what you select before you select it. And it also does a barrel roll. That's gonna be really good for those of you that wanna draw with this, because the paintbrush stroke will now match the direction you tilt or roll the Apple Pencil. And it also now seems a little bit easier in refining your different drawing options that you want. It also has haptic feedback when squeezing or tapping, so that should help you feel more connected when you're using it. But I'm personally curious to see how I like it. I do have high hopes for it. I feel like I'm gonna like it, you know, when I'm actually using it. This is the product that I'm probably just as curious about as the Pro, or maybe in combination with the Pro, and that's the new Magic Keyboard. So the new keyboard is now made of aluminum. And like I mentioned before, it only works with the new 11 and 13-inch iPad Pro. With that, it has some new features like the addition of the function row along the top. So now we can have more Mac-like shortcuts on the iPad. I'm personally curious to see how much the iPad Pro 13-inch weighs with the new keyboard. I don't know, maybe y'all got some insight on that already, and y'all can let me know down in the comment section, or I will find out for us, because we will be doing some hands-on coverage next week. So make sure you subscribe to where you can stay tuned for that. But outside of those things, the new keyboard also has a larger trackpad. I'm just curious all around to see what this is gonna be like in person. And as far as colors, same as before. Now, some may argue if the new features on either model is worth it. And I think that is really just up to you. It's a very personal thing. And for me and my workflow and what I want to get accomplished when I'm out and about, I am leaning on the iPad Pro. I've already loved the M3 chip, so now that jump and just have a whole new chip set altogether in the new iPad has me intrigued. Like I mentioned before, I do wish that we saw some new colors. I also wish that we saw a refresh with the iPad mini, because that's a sleeper. It has its purpose. But all in all, I enjoyed the announcements from Apple today, and our Saturday weekly upload schedule, you know. It will resume next week. I just had to get my thoughts out as soon as possible, so thank y'all for bearing with me on this. Weekly uploads will resume next Saturday. But until then, as always, thanks for taking the time out to let me tech you out.